Hey everybody, my name is Draco the Juggler, and I'm going to be teaching you how to juggle. Juggling is pretty fun, and the basics are actually not that hard to do. We're going to start with one ball, but before we do that, you guys want to see some cool tricks first? Juggling, of course, you could do 3 balls, 4 balls, 5 balls, the better you get. There are so many tricks with just 3 balls alone. Stuff like this, even stuff where you cross your arms. So many tricks are possible with juggling. We believe juggling, well, there's a lot of history to juggling. The first history we've seen dated back was probably hieroglyphics from the Egyptians. There were a few Egyptian hieroglyphics where people were juggling in them. A bunch of different cultures have done their own styles of juggling. Nowadays, you pretty much can find it in any different variety and form all around the world. But not just juggling, other types of juggling props too. Juggling balls are probably one of the first things you think about when you think about juggling. Juggling balls and juggling. Of course, that's juggling. But there are so many other types of juggling. Juggling with as some people call them, bowling pins. But the proper name are clubs, where you flip and you catch. This is another form of juggling that you are probably familiar with. Other forms of juggling, like we have here, are plate spinning. Plate spinning is considered a juggling prop. It is a manipulation prop. So that is another form of juggling that you might have seen. You may also have seen the really awesome and really cool Chinese yo-yo, also known as a diabolo. This is a common juggling prop in China and in other parts of Asia, but this is a juggling prop as well. And one of my favorite juggling props, actually, where you actually get to use the yo-yo on the string like so, toss it up and do a lot of really cool tricks. It is a form of juggling. Even really cool tricks like defying gravity, woo! Making shapes to the string. Let's see, what other types of juggling do I have? Another form of juggling you may have seen, especially if you watched the movie The Labyrinth, is the crystal ball, known as contact juggling. Contact juggling is a more recent juggling form within the past 100 years, but it is really cool. It is another form of juggling with one ball only. One ball is all you need to do some really cool tricks. So yeah, that is another form of juggling that we have here too. If you haven't done juggling before, a really good way to get into juggling is by using scarves, or maybe if you have plastic bags at home. That is a good way to get into juggling. Another good way to get into juggling is just by using one ball to do the basic throw. If you don't have a ball at home, you can make a juggling ball out of a sock by rolling the sock up starting from the toes down to the middle, then pinching it in the middle like that, and then stretching the other part of the sock over like so. This makes a good juggling ball around a palm size, which is what you want when you have an object to throw and catch. Now, with the juggling ball, or any type of ball that you have at home, let's try to work first on doing the very first throw, the toss and the catch from one hand to the other hand. If you want to use a scarf, you're going to pinch it, cross your arm, and let it go, which will be a little easier than tossing and catching a ball, because it floats down nice and slow. But if you do have a good ball, like this one, this is a juggling ball, or a sock like we just did, let's try to practice the first throw by having our hands shoulder width apart, our elbows kind of by our hips, nice and comfortable. We're going to toss the ball from one hand to the other hand, back and forth, around head height. So just try to keep it up around head height. You don't want to try to toss it too high, especially if you're inside, you might hit the roof. So try to have it around head height and see if you can toss it back and forth like so. This is the very first step that you want to do to get into juggling multiple balls. Right here, what you're working on is you're trying to throw the ball from one hand to the other hand, where you don't move the other hand to try to catch it. If you could throw the ball where the other hand is without having to move the other hand, that's going to set you up to have a better pattern once you get to 2 and 3 balls. Notice how the height is a nice arc a nice rainbow throw like so, and not a really wide throw. You want to be comfortable with your arms hips apart and shoulder width apart, just like so. If you look at it from the side, I'm also tossing side to side. I'm not tossing the ball front like that, because that'll make you run into problems later on once you get into doing multiple balls. Now, if you got this throw nice and good, the next step is to give yourself a round of applause by doing a clap underneath every throw. Try to see if you could do this a few times. If you could do this nice and easy, try to see if you could clap twice before every catch. Right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand. Or another thing you could do is try to pat your hips as you do your toss. What that represents is if you could do a clap or a pat of the hips underneath the toss, then you should be able to throw another ball with that first ball in the air. So, from there, have one ball in each hand, toss, toss, catch, catch, toss, toss, catch, catch. Almost the same as doing that one ball clap, but instead of clapping, you're going to throw the other ball instead. So toss, toss, catch, catch. So try that out yourselves. Toss, toss, catch, catch, toss, toss, catch, catch. You want to have different timing. You don't want to toss them at the same time because they may collide with each other, and you don't want that to happen. So one first, and then the second one. Even if you toss one and the other, and you don't catch them both, but they land in opposite directions, then that's pretty good for starting out learning how to juggle. So grab your juggling balls or your socks and try that at home. Try to see if you can do toss, toss, catch, catch, toss, toss, catch, catch. Once you get good at that, you may even be ready for the third juggling ball, tossing it back and forth like so. Toss, 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 toss. And if you notice, when one ball's in the air, the other ball exchanges, and that is how you have what we call the cascade, the 3-ball basic juggling pattern. All right.